So I want to start with this photo. So pay attention to her, and we'll also talk about her. So I originally had a complete layout of what I wanted to talk about, but just even today, everything has changed. So I want to talk about that a little bit too. So this was a photo that I was given probably in 6th or 7th grade. And the story that I was told is, this is my birth mom, and then that this is my grandma back in Ukraine. And since having this picture, I was told that my birth mom was wanting me, just couldn't have me, and wanted a relationship still. So while I was in the orphanage, she came every single afternoon, every single day, to come and visit me. And my birth grandma was a worker, or she was a big part in owning the orphanage. That was the story that I was told. Now, I don't know how I acquired the photo. I know that my mom gave it to me, and I know that I was very upset when she gave it to me years after I wanted to know, or years after I began to get curious about the story of my birth mom and the story of me. And so, flashing back, I remember vividly, like, Googling the crap and social mediaing the crap out of people that could be my birth mom and that looked like my birth mom, that were born and had a child in the same kind of time frame, and all I had to go off of was my Ukrainian last name because I didn't know her name. And somewhere along the road of searching, I landed on the name Anya, and I don't know how, and I don't know, but that was the name that I stuck to, and that I still stick to. And I know for a fact that it's not her name, but I think having a name versus not having a name is so completely different. And for me, the power of that name is so, so important. And I remember, when was it? Probably in my angsty teenage years. We all have those. Oh my goodness. This is Nala. But sorry, cats are the best. But I would blow up the photo and I would hang it all over my room. Do you want to lay down? Sorry. All over the walls of my room. And when my mom would be angry at me, I would say, "You're not even my mom. This is my mom. Like, stop yelling at me." And I was just a tool back then. But it gave, like, not even personality, but it gave, like, a heart and a face and a name to this ambiguous person in my life, or not in my life, you know? And that was power. That was great, and I needed that. And I was like, if she did really visit me every single day, I cannot imagine the heartache it must have been to watch her child that she visited every single day go through the process of being adopted out. And not even adopted out into the suburbs of Ukraine, but like across the world. Like, my gosh. But again, I don't know if that even is the truth. And so, anyway, I'm just gonna be real with you guys. This is the first video, and it's like my third take on it, but I do want to practice authenticity and rawness with you guys, so I'm just gonna do it. So today, I brought up the picture again to my mom, and I mean, we're past, like, the angst part, so it's just a normal conversation that we were able to have, and I was like, "Mom, tell me the story of this picture." And I was like, "How did you acquire it? How did you know that it was my birth mom?" All these different things, and she was like, "It's not your birth mom." And I was like, "What? What do you mean it's not my birth mom?" And she was like, "Well, that's a picture of somebody that she knows and the director of the orphanage. So, it is the director of the orphanage, but it is not my grandma, and this is not my birth mom. This is a gal that lives in Florida." So, I mean, she just told me like 20 minutes ago. Again, I said that I've had this idea planned about false attachment and just talking about the pros and cons and just the impact that it's had throughout my life. And then I was thrown this probably a handful of minutes ago. And so I haven't processed it, but I still think that it's good to talk about. I mean, I guess there was always the option of like, this is maybe not be your mom, this may not be your grandma, the story that we were told or gathered or pieced together themselves, however it came about, may not be true. But I'm not gonna lie, like, it's crushing. It sucks because I definitely, I mean, it's laminated, like, held on to it for a long time and cried when I thought I lost the copy of it, and would carry it around my journal every day, and I would show it to literally everybody in my life and saying like, this is my birth mom, I just don't know if I look like her, and they'd be like, you look so like her, like if your hair was darker, like it would totally be you. And I was like, wow, like this may be what I look like this may be what I look like when I'm her age. And just having that reflection, that piece is just gone now, and it just, I don't know, like I don't know what to do. Do I hold on to the picture now? Do I not hold on to the picture? Like, this was such a pivotal piece, and I don't know, like, I just don't know. And I'm processing as I'm doing this with you guys, but I think I'm still gonna hold on to it because it got me through a lot. And I remember years ago going to the movie Philomena with my cousin, and if you haven't seen it, you need to check it out. But it flipped the script for me. Like, it just gave me so much hope, because essentially the storyline is this nun got pregnant and was not able to keep the child because she was a nun. So he was put up for adoption and adopted internationally, like me, and it just follows her through this storyline of her going across the world to look and search for her son that she gave up many years later, and finds out that he passed away. And it flipped the script because I never thought about, what if she's looking for me? What if I'm not the only one who's longing, searching, hoping for a relationship and for this person to be in my life? What if she is searching for me? I cannot give up, because what if she finds me one day and they're like, I'm so sorry, she couldn't handle life, she couldn't take the weight of the world, and she is not here anymore. My gosh, I cannot do that to her. I cannot do that to myself, I cannot do that to her. So this gave me hope for many years. I carried it around everywhere. And now I don't know what to do. Like, I think I'm gonna hold on to it. I don't know what to do. And this was like the only thing that I had. Like, I don't know. Like, my brother has his birth name, his father's name, like where he was put to, or like abandoned at, and like he has a lot of information, and I have nothing. And I thought this picture was the only thing that I had, and learning that it's not, it's like, I don't know what to do. And I think it's going to take some journaling, and I think it's going to take some days to process, but I guess that's the power of false attachment, is it can get you through a lot. It can be very hopeful and just like a positive thing in your life. And like, when you find that it's not true, or when you find that it's false and that the story that you've been told isn't true, like, there's no steps in how to process that. And gosh, I don't know. I mean, when you're adopted, the initial trauma is being adopted. There's no chance for a secure attachment. I mean, maybe there is. Maybe there's a really good caregiver that is able to enter in solely to that child, and that is so great and such a blessing, and that child will benefit. But there wasn't for us. There was way too many children and not enough caregivers, like many, many orphanages. Like, we had Dobermans at our orphanage, and those were kind of in the place of caregivers when there weren't enough. How are you going to secure an attachment? How are you going to like facilitate and bond and do any of those things, even a little bit? And don't know. So I definitely found attachment in this photo. I definitely felt like, I mean, I don't know. This is just still processing in my mind. And I mean, whether it's false attachment or just attachment in general with adopted kids, it's such a tricky thing. And I think post-adoption, it's very tricky too, because the damage has already been done. Whether or not I was young enough or old enough to remember it, whether or not I feel like I'm affected, it still plays out. It still plays out in its ugly ways, and it still plays out in its positive, relearning ways. And yet, like, that's because of being adopted. And so post-adoption, you have to figure out ways of, like, how to secure an attachment, how to figure out, like, in different periods of your life, what does attachment look like? Who are you attaching to? What is not going to work for you? What is going to work for you? What do you need? And what do the people around you need? And that looks different when you're an angsty teenager and you just don't want anything to do with the world. And it looks different when you're in your 20s and you're trying to figure out, who really am I? What is beyond the name Lilia? What is deeper than that? What do I do? And I guess that there's no book. There are books on it, but there is no book for each individual person in trying to figure out how to navigate it. So, I don't know. I guess, I mean, I've said it a few times now, but I had this idea way before I even started a blog, and now it's just completely flipped of like, what do I do with this information? How do I process? Yet, one of my themes for doing all of this is I really want to do the raw, uncandid, I don't know if that's the word, unscripted take on what it is to be adopted. What does it mean, and how do you react when you find information that completely shifts your world? Like, I don't know. I have nothing now. And I guess, I mean, there was a part of me always that, I was always told that her name probably wasn't Anya. And that was a thing that I could hold on to. But I believed this. Like, I believed that this was her. And I believed that this was my grandma. And it's going to take adjusting. It's going to take something else. Do I find something else to hold on to? Do I just journal the crap about it every day and hope that I'm okay? Or, I don't know. I think whatever I have to do is okay. And I think, gosh, I think it was okay that I held on to this for so long. I think it got me through a lot. And I think if you're adopted and you're watching and you hold on to something that may or may not be true, if it's feeding your soul and if it's something positive, good for you. And I don't know, maybe when I come out of the other side of understanding this and taking peace with it, I can do another one of like, here's the steps. But I don't have that yet. And that's okay. And maybe if you know somebody who's adopted, or if you are adopted watching and you think it is a good idea or want to find something that you can hold on to, like, my brother has a Ukrainian flag in his room, and that's just a little piece for him that he can hold on to his roots, and that can give him identity and all of these other things, and that's not bad. It wasn't bad that I held on to this, and I still hold on to it. But it's that question of like, so what do I do now? What do you do when the foundation that you stood on crumbles without you going down? And I think that's going to be the test. And I don't know. I'll keep you posted. We'll have to just keep chugging along. But I wanted to share that because it is the true side of an adoptee, and it's the true, like, it's just not always pretty, and things that I don't expect happen. And it's that kind of like, well, how long did you know this? Why didn't you tell me? Like, this is my story. I need to know these things, and like, why did you give me the photo, or how did I get the photo? Because I didn't just find it and say, this is my mom. There was somewhere along there that, so I'm not sure. There's just so many questions circling. But I wanted to share that, and hope you guys have a good week. I'm going to start doing more consistent vlogs. I have so many ideas and so many things that my heart just wants to jump at. Yet I really need to stop, slow down, and figure out a systematic way of going through it. What's effective? What do you guys want to hear? And how do I best go about it without biting off too much. My heart jumps before my mind and my head. So I have to slow all those things down so that I can do what's effective and what will reach you guys and what God is really calling me to talk about and who to impact and all these different things, and like what is my end goal in this. And it's just to share, and it's just to take ideas and to just talk about it. So hopefully soon you'll have another video. If not, oh well, I don't know.